Hi, my name is Yahav, and I was born and raised as an Israeli and as a Zionist. During the past few years, I've gone through a process of questioning the narrative I grew up with regarding this land we live in and the people living on it. This podcast is about voices of the disillusioned. Each episode is a one-on-one heartfelt conversation with an activist who supports the Palestinian struggle, telling the story of the journey that led them to see through what they were taught. Each of these people has their own unique path that I believe anyone can learn from, whether you're a Palestinian or a Jew living here or abroad, or just anyone who feels strongly about this subject. I hope you learn as much as I learn from them about how to build a better future for all people between the river and the sea. Rita, now in her 30s, immigrated from Ukraine with her family when she was an infant. While struggling to assimilate as a teenager living in the city of Beer Sheva, she was introduced to some different ideas about the world than the ones she was used to hearing. This led her to decide not to serve in the military, even though the law requires it. At 17, without knowing anyone else who had done this at the time, she was scared but determined. We met in an activist chapter in our college and have been good friends ever since. Today, she works with youth at risk and does her best to model for them how to stick to your own truth no matter what. Before we start, it's important to note that we recorded this episode almost a year ago, before the Russian invasion on Ukraine, so take that into account while listening. Enjoy the episode. Hi, Rita.
Hi, Av.
How are you?
I'm good.
Tell me, where are we?
We are in Enayala, which was En Razal in the past, before 48. It's a little village very close to the beach, not far from Haifa, south, 20 kilometers from Haifa. Yes, I'm living here now.
Did you grow up here?
No, I was born in Ukraine, in half of the island Crimea, and I grew up in Beer Sheva most of my life.
A lot of colonialist shit happening over there as well.
Yes.
Everywhere you go, there's colonialism.
I was really thinking about this the last years, that it's happening everywhere, all the time.
Yeah. You came here when you were how old?
I was around 2 years old, 2, maybe 3.
And your family immigrated from what is today Ukraine to Israel.
What is today Russia? It was the Soviet Union, and then it became Ukraine, Russia, Moldova, all this. And so when I was born, it was Ukraine. It was Ukraine most of my life. We still have a house there. And nobody's living there because my family doesn't want to be Russian. So they left the house. The house is just standing there. And they moved to Kiev. And we moved to Israel a long time ago.
So your extended family is living in Kiev?
Yes.
Because of all that situation, and they left their house. And you and your parents and your brother, you came to Beer Sheva.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how your family fit in here in the whole story.
So I guess it was not easy. It's still not easy for them. My mother doesn't speak really good Hebrew till now. My father does speak Hebrew, but still, they're very Soviet.
They came in the early 90s in the wave of immigration from the Soviet...
Like the second wave of the immigration, and you can really tell when you meet them. You can really tell that they're very Soviet.
Yes, I've met your mother. She's very Soviet. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it was hard for them very much. They tried different kinds of programs. They were in the kibbutz, in the moshav. They were trying to get in to live in the kibbutz in the south, but they didn't accept them, and they were picking tomatoes in Kadesh Barnea, also in the south. Yeah, it was like a program of the Sochnut HaYehudit,
the Jewish agency.
Yeah, so I can't remember this. I was too young, too little, but I remember already Beer Sheva. In some like after some time, they understood that they just want to find a place, and they settled down in Beer Sheva, and my mother lives in this house till now.
And so they had a lot of like immigration difficulties regarding work and language, and you know, they still kind of don't fit in all the way.
Yeah.
And did you feel this when you were growing up?
So much, yeah. My mother, when she was in Ukraine, she was an accountant. And when she came to Israel, so it was really hard for her, the language and everything. And they had to work to have money. So she had to leave the ulpan. It's like the place where you learn Hebrew. And not to finish it, to go to work in a factory. And actually, till these days, she works in this factory. Can I say shitty factory? She works in this shitty factory.
We're all about the truth here. Like, don't hide anything. Don't make anything look prettier than what it is.
PC, okay.
No PC.
So she works in this shitty factory, which is really bad for her health, because there is like chemical stuff there, and it's like a little Russian ghetto there,
because all the other employees are also Russian.
95% they are all Russians. They like doctors or like different kinds of
like originally when they were where they came from, they were doctors and professionals, and then they came here and they became, you know, laborers in a factory.
They're all academic,
So when you were growing up in a neighborhood with a lot of immigrants from the Soviet Union, but also a lot of Jews that were already living here, who were from Arab countries. Mizrachim, we call them.
Yeah.
So how is that combination?
Mostly I felt it at school. So there were the Russians. It doesn't matter that I was not from Russia. It's always the Russians.
Yeah, we call them all Russians.
Everybody's Russians.
That's how people talk here.
Yeah. And the other people. For me, this is what I saw in my eyes.
Like for your experience as with you and your family and your Russian friends, there was like us, the Russians, and then there's everyone else.
Yeah.
And everyone else is what? They're the Israelis? They're the real Israelis?
They are Israelis, yeah. They're like tzabarim.
They were born here.
Yeah. They are like native more than I am, because I was not born in Israel. And many things. It's like it's the culture. It's you can feel it. You know it because of Shabbat. If you know like what is Shabbat, do you do?
They were more like traditionally Jewish, with the customs.
They were talking about the red fish that they eat in Shabbat, or like the big families. They have big amount of people in the family, like Russians, you know. And they're usually, it's like smaller
families, yeah.
Yeah, it's like me and my brother, my mother, and it's very, very small. And it took me a long time to understand this.
The differences?
No, to understand why and how, and like why we don't have this Jewish culture. I didn't know this before.
And what did you learn later on?
I learned that there is a lot of anti-Semitism
in the Soviet Union?
Yeah.
Not only anti-Semitism, but also once the communism was ruling, basically religion was forbidden.
Yeah, so they had to hide to make any holiday or like to celebrate anything Jewish. And they could not say even that they are Jewish, or So my mother grew up with this. Like there is one story that my mother tells me, like, for example, she could not go to the university because of her last name. Like
Because she had a Jewish last name.
Yeah, she came to the university. She had very good grades. She was good at school, but she came, and then the woman told her, with this last name, you could not even bother to come here.
You shouldn't have even come.
Yeah,
to sign up.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and like stones that people were throwing on their house, and just telling them you're Jewish and stuff like this.
So then when the Soviet Union fell, a lot of the Jews wanted to come to Israel in the 90s because they finally could, because before that period, nobody was allowed out. I'm just clarifying for the people who are listening who are not very familiar with this. So there was a wave of immigrants. How many? Today there's over 1 million, right?
Yeah, I think 2 million.
There's over 1 million
Almost
for sure
2 million, yeah.
of immigrants from former Soviet Union in Israel. What's very ironic is that according to the law that says that they can immigrate to Israel, it's called the law of return. They are considered Jews. But then when they came here, they encountered all these laws that claim that they're not actually officially Jewish and that they need to convert to Judaism. They need to actually go through a process, like an official process of conversion, do a course. And so a lot of the former Soviet Union immigrants in Israel till today have a lot of problems and go through a lot of discrimination, even though they came here under the title of like, we are Jewish. And then now they're being told you're not Jewish enough, or you're not Jewish according to the laws here.
Yeah.
And it really controls people's lives. Like they can't get married, they can't do a lot of things because of this.
You mostly feel it when you want to get married in Israel, and when you come from these countries. So there are problems that are happening to you. They want your mother and your grandmother, and they want everybody to come and to show papers. And who have these papers? Maybe some people have, some people don't have, because it was also the war. Many things have changed a lot. Like people change their names, change the place that they live. Many things happen, and they really want to see that you are Jewish, or maybe you're also not Jewish. But in Israel, if you're not Jewish, you cannot get married. So
if you're not considered Jewish and you want to marry a Jew, then also that's a different problem. I want to ask you a little bit about your childhood and a little bit about like you as a teenager growing up in Beer Sheva as like a rebel.
So when I was a teenager, in the beginning, I studied in one school for 2 years, and it was a religious school. That was in this religious school, in every grade, there were like 3 classes that was only Russians.
Wow.
It's called scientific class, and you were studying like until 5 in the evening, and it was a lot of hours, and it was also religious. I had to go with skirts and to pray every morning.
Even though your home wasn't like religious.
Nobody's home there was, because everybody were Russians. Nobody knew anything. Like even if I had the feeling that maybe there is God and maybe the Bible is maybe something. So there completely it failed. Like they failed.
It didn't work for you.
No. It was terrible, because we were really. And after 2 years there, I understood that I cannot do it. It's not possible. I started not to go to school, and a lot of mess, and I didn't fit in. And then I decided to change my school to another school. It was 9th grade. And this school was very different. And there I met different kind of people, and there were like a lot of people there that were listening to metal, and we call them freaks in Israel.
You were the freaks. We
were the freaks, and actually I I started to get to know all this community, all this bunch, like huge bunch of people in Beer Sheva that we were
Like outcasts.
Yeah, we were just not in the mainstream, but we were kind of already a mainstream because we were so many. I didn't know about them.
It was like find the others. Like you found the others that you realized were like you, but were different than everyone else.
Yeah, and it came with the music and how you look and how you talk and what you do. And we were meeting every evening in a place in Beer Sheva, like very much in the center, very far from my home. Like I was always on buses and stuff, and the guitars and this kind of stuff. And then I met a friend. I had new friends in my new school, and then I met a friend, and she told me, "Okay, there is this thing that we're going to Germany. Sign up also. Just go for it. Sign up." So I signed up for this.
You didn't know what it was about.
I was not sure. I knew that it's like a student exchange, but I didn't really. I was like, okay, Germany. Yeah, I want to go to Germany. Okay, sign up. I was like 15. So I signed up for this, and then you had to pick someone who you're gonna exchange with. And because I was the last one who signed up, there was like one girl left. I think she was 19. She was like, I was 15. She was 19. She was like in the last year of her studies in Germany, in a place called Coburg or something like this. And what happened that she came to Israel for 10 days and she stayed in my home. And then I went to Germany for 10 days and I stayed in her home. And we did it as a group, but everybody stays in different homes. Mm-hmm. And this girl, she actually was a big reason of my change. Because it was the first time that I met someone like her. Like before I met her, I was completely, okay, I'm going to the army. I'm going to fight Arabs, these fucking Arabs, all this.
Oh, that's what you thought.
That's what I thought.
This is the atmosphere in school, and this is the things that you hear around you?
At school, at home, at everywhere. Yeah, definitely. I didn't think there is something else. I didn't know even one person who was different from this. I totally grew up with this. So when I met her, okay, she was vegetarian. That was also very, very weird for me. And she was like, when she was in Israel, I didn't really get to understand everything. I just knew that she was vegetarian and we were talking a bit and we got close. But then when I went to her home in Germany, that looked completely different from my tiny little home of my mother's. Wow, that was a thing. Like I came to her home and it was like a palace. It was amazing. So I met her there, and then I saw her and her friends, and I was spending time with them. And I remember one time we were like going in the street with all the group, and we were like, okay, we're going to the McDonald's because you have this like $1 and you get a little burger. So we were buying like 2-3 of this, and that was our lunch. And she was like, I'm not stepping in this place. I'm not going inside. And I remember we were like, what the fuck? What does she want? What is it all about? Like, why is she doing all this? And one time she told me, listen, tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up very early. Around like 7, I want to go to school because tomorrow the army is coming to the school and they want to convince people to
recruit people.
Yeah, the German army. And she was, okay, I'm going tomorrow and I'm going to lie down on the road that they cannot go in.
Wow, she's 19.
She's 19.
Wow.
And if you want to come with me. And I was like,
do you want to come and lie on the road with me and protest?
And I was like, really? That's okay. Yeah, let's do this.
You're in an adventurous mode, being away from home. Let's try it out.
Yeah, everything. Like she gave a new perspective to me, to the 15 years old me. Many things I could not see or experience in Beer Sheva. So we didn't wake up. We didn't wake up, and we didn't lie on the ground, and yeah. So the army came. But it opened my mind. It opened my mind, and before I left Germany, she told me, just open YouTube and watch about the meat industry. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, all right. And then actually, like one day when I was at home and I was bored, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe I opened this YouTube, maybe I like, and I wrote on YouTube, what is meat, or I don't know, something that I could say when I was 15. And then I saw these terrible things about the meat industry.
This is like 2006, right?
Like so long ago.
This is like the beginning of like YouTube in Israel.
Like exactly 15 years ago. Yeah.
So you watched it?
So I watched it and I was like, oh my God, I didn't believe it. I was in shock. I know that meat is a cow or an animal, but I never saw it. I never experienced it. I never saw the look in their eyes, or like, wow, to see them screaming and this. And for 15 years old, I was shocked. I felt like everybody lied to me all my life. It was like, how can it be? But on the packages of things, you can see like these happy cows. They are walking on green grass and they look so nice. And in these videos, it's so bad. And I got deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper in this.
You went down the rabbit hole.
Wow, this is a rabbit hole. and I was just, I could not, I didn't know how to realize this thing. And everything started to fall apart inside of me, and I could not eat meat anymore. I remember it started that I could not eat like a chicken, like in the form of chicken, and I could eat it only like when it doesn't look like
the nuggets,
yeah,
the
like
schnitzel.
the animal. It has to be like in a different. And then very, very fast, I could not also eat this. I think my mother didn't speak to me for really long. Like, she was so mad at me. Like, my Soviet mother, she could not believe that I'm getting crazy. For her, I was like, what the hell is going on with my daughter? She's losing it completely.
Wow, what does she think today?
Today.
She had time to get used to it.
You have to make a podcast only about this.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. There's a whole podcast that we should do on that.
But now she's just like, okay, this is my daughter. This is what it is. I will never understand everything. What is she doing? I don't know. I don't understand. But now she's like this.
So you started with like the vegetarian and like animal rights activism when you were in high school, and then what happened?
So it started with the animals, but then it went just to human rights and compassion. I think it just went to the road, to the compassion road, And I was like, oh, wait, there is so many things
that we're not compassionate about.
Yeah, and like nobody's talking about this, and it's not fair what's going on in this world, and I didn't know about this and this and this.
Yeah, it's like a domino effect. Like once you realize that you were lied about one thing, then you're more susceptible to realize that there's other things that you were lied about too. And you're like less trusting towards the system. And then you double check things that you're told, like more and more.
Completely.
Eventually you got to the point where you started reading about the Palestinians.
Yeah, I would not say that I was reading a lot about the Palestinians. It was still not very easy for me to reach this. But I did I understood that I don't want to hold weapon. I don't want to use weapon. I just don't want to be part of so many things that are happening and are so like mainstream and nobody's asking anything about it.
So it was just about like a universal resistance to violence of any sort and using force as a military to any people. Like it wasn't about like us and them and I'm a Jew and they're Palestinian. Like it was just, I don't want to hold a gun.
Anything.
Okay.
It was completely about everything, about like Africa and Israel and what's going on here and everything, animals and everything. I was just shocked. I was like, okay, I'm just quitting.
Just quitting everything.
I'm just quitting. Actually, I want to say that it was a time that I became very, very depressed. I was depressed for years. Since I was like 15, 16, 17, 18, I was so depressed. I could not understand like what am I, do I belong here or why everybody is doing this. And when I talk to people about these things and they look at me and they say, yeah, this is what's happening. You're right. But they don't change anything. And I was getting crazy. I was like, but how can you just continue live just like this? And I became like, I had a lot of anger. And I also felt I don't know where I belong. And it made me very sad because where I grew up, I had a lot of friends and I loved my friends and there were amazing people around me and they knew everything, what I feel and what it is, but they thought differently. And it was fine, it was fine. But also I felt very weird.
Like that out of place, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
Because you saw people like knowing about the horrible things happening around them and just being silent about it.
And just telling me, this is life. This is how it is. You just have to accept what you want to do. Okay, so you're not going to eat meat. What do you think? So they going to stop the industry? So you are not going to the army. Who's going to protect you? Who is going to save you? We have to go to the army. They didn't like it was completely, but they also loved me. Yeah, because I had this color. They loved this color. It was interesting. And I make fun of this also. I like to make fun of this and not take it too seriously, but also I was very
sad.
Time. Yeah.
It's always funny to make fun of high school, no matter how much you suffered. Because it's always, there's something ridiculous about the whole situation.
Wow, definitely.
Did you reach a point where you were like, I am not going to the army no matter what, and I'm going to do what I have to do to get out of it? Because, it's the law, you have to go, so you're being recruited, and how do you realize like what you're going to do to dodge the service?
Yeah, everything is like, when I think about it now, it's like, thank you for the internet, because I could just be this Russian girl that they grew up in Beer Sheva. I would have like few children and work in this work that every morning I wake up and I go there and then I come back and I watch TV and then I go to sleep. And that was supposed to be my future, I guess. But because of the internet, that I could learn new things about the world. I don't know if I'm thankful or I'm sad about this, because sometimes I think about this also. What is better, like to know all this infinity or to just...
Or ignorance is bliss.
Yes. You think you know the answer to that,
I know.
But there is no answer to that,
There's
actually.
No answer. I think it really is personal. Like everyone needs to just, decide for themselves. But I do know that I used to be ignorant and I used to be more blissful. And I also know that it's possible to be happy even when you know all of this shit.
Yeah.
This I know today. But let's go back to little 17-year-old Rita with her pink hair, trying to convince the army.
What happens is when you are in 11th grade, you start to get letters from army, and they start to reach you out and like, okay, hey, army, who do you want to be? Wow, there's so many options.
They start summoning you to all these interviews and tests and yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a thing because everybody's so excited about it and everybody's talking about all school. Did you get your Manila? Manila, it's like this thing that you get and you can like
it's like a questionnaire of all the jobs that you have that are open to you according to your scores.
Yeah.
And then you have to like rate them what you want more. It's funny because it's very similar to like college in the US. Like everybody's talking about it. Everybody's doing all the exams. Everybody's applying to different, everybody's like, you know, it's a thing. It's like, I even see it if I look at it in a more cultural, like sociological way. It's an initiation process of young people all together going through this one experience and becoming adults through it. And this is what it's about.
It's really the way of the Zionism. It's the Zionism project. This is how it built up.
Through the initiation of the army.
From like you're going to the kindergarten until you go out from army and actually until the end of your life. But mostly all the
school years.
Yeah, when you're young and they build it in your head perfectly.
Yeah, all the logic.
Program. Yeah, and when you're not going in this program, so it becomes a problem. But we're gonna speak about this.
But your friends, all of your friends, were like into this.
Most of my friends went to army, but the ones who didn't, most of them didn't go because they just like not from the same reasons that I didn't go. It was just like they thought it's a waste of time, or they wanted to go to study, or they really had some issues, like or health issues or mental issues, and they really didn't go to army because they could not. So there were a few people who didn't go, but it was not really the same story. They had their own story, and usually it was more personal and less like global thing.
It was less about opposing something, less ideological, but more just...
It was mostly not very ideological.
And you really were like, I'm ideologically not going to be part of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit complicated. And I think also for guys, it's harder than for girls. For girls, you can get it more easy.
They'll let you go easier.
Yeah.
It's true.
But for guys, they really want you in, especially if you're healthy and, you know.
If you're abled.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had to research about it.
On the internet. Thank you for the internet.
Yeah, on the internet. I was very confused and sad, and I could not stop getting these letters from the army, and then I was ignoring, and then I started to get red letters. They're like, if you don't come to this, well, I don't know, like we're gonna come and pick you and you're gonna sit in jail, or I don't know, stuff like this. I can't remember, but I remember it was really scary. And then I said, okay, I got like the really final letter that I understood that if I'm not going to this meeting, something's gonna happen. They're gonna come here. But I ignored it a long time. And then I said, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I will just come there. I was so naive. Oh, I just come there and I'm going to tell them, hey, I don't want to go to army. Can you please let me see the psychiatrist? And I said, yeah, I'm just going to talk to him and I will tell him, listen, I don't want to shoot a gun. And I don't really want to wear uniform.
That is so naive.
and
like, I'm telling you, I served in that place and people would come and say, like, I need to see a psychiatrist because I'm not well. And you could see that they weren't well or they were putting on a show, but either way, it doesn't matter. And they were really looking like, you know, crazy. And we would still like not give them, we wouldn't let them see the psychiatrist.
I think these days, it's a bit different. I'm pretty sure, but that days it was really strong. Like it was really hard to go out from the army. So yeah, I was naive. I came there. I was talking to this girl. Maybe it was you. I don't know. And she was asking me a lot of questions about my family and my life and this and that. And then I just told her, listen, I just want to see the psychiatrist. I want to talk to him. And she was like, why? I said, I don't want to tell you. I want to talk to him. And she was, no, you need to tell me. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell you.
I've had this conversation so many times.
18 years old girl that is sitting with this uniform, and who are you?
Yeah.
You know, why do I need to talk to you? You're just like almost my age. So I was really trying, and she told me, you're not going to tell me that you need the psychiatrist and to get it. I'm gonna decide if you're gonna get the psychiatrist. And I was like, what? What do you mean you're gonna decide? I'm asking you, like, give me.
I'm telling you, I'm not well.
I need to see the psychiatrist. And she was like, okay, okay, continue, okay. And yeah, and then I had to do all these weird exams on the computer that I was like, enter, 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 enter. I didn't care about the answers, about anything. I was so sad.
It's like an IQ, kind of like an IQ test.
Yeah, and they check your body, and you go to the doctor, and you go to this, and it's like the whole day story that also if we're talking about Zionism project, so you can, like, when you have this paper, you allowed to not to go to school. It's okay to miss school in all these army days.
Because like the schools are okay with you going to all these exams and interviews and stuff. Like it's true. I remember it from when I was in high school.
There are many of this.
And you can show the letter that you get that's summoning you as like you get exempt from going to school that day. It's like legit.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
So, yeah, I just remember it was very traumatic for me. I was almost crying all this time there. Maybe I also cried like alone, like very inside of my heart. I was very confused. I was, okay, what's going on? Why nobody's listening to me? And I don't want to go to this place. And I got really angry, and I said, okay, you're not going to let me to see the psychiatrist? No problem. I'm going to find my way out.
Wow, such strong will. I would have been broken much earlier.
Yeah, I will tell you later what I had like in my mind. So after I was there, after this happened, I went home, and I was like, okay, what the hell I'm going to do? Like what is it now? And I started to look on internet, and I saw that there is an option for girls that I can say that I'm religious, and I don't have to go to army because of religion reasons.
Like girls that go to a religious girls' school in Israel are automatically exempt because the schools, they hand in the lists of the names, and then those girls automatically get exempt. But if you don't go to a religious school, then you have to prove to them that you're religious.
Yeah.
So how do you do that?
With your pink hair.
They're like, good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So and also they really scare you. So the rabbinical institution, they also were really scaring you. Like, they were telling you, you're signing here, and we're allowed to come to your home anytime, and to check your fridge, and to check if you making kosher, and if you have all these things, and we can like catch you. And if we catch you, it's gonna be very hard, and you're gonna go to the jail. And
because they're signing a document that says that they're assuring that you really are religious. So if you make it look like they were lying for you, then they're gonna rat on you.
Yeah.
So they had this interview. They summoned you to this interview where they were going to ask you some questions to see if you're actually knowledgeable about Judaism, right?
Yeah. So in the beginning, actually, so after I left this place the first time that I came as I am, and I wanted to see the psychiatrist. So I was very hopeless, and I didn't know what to do. And then I found out that there is this option of being religious. So after this, what happened that I I went to the religious court. I paid 41 shekels. I remember this. And I really got inside a court. It was really a court. Like there were like this rabbis sitting on the top, like the judges. And I was standing on this thing, how you get the podium, little podium, and they look at me and they ask me these questions, and I was like, no, I'm religious. And also I had my pink hair, so I pushed my hair in the hat and I wear a skirt, and I was not very much looking religious, but
You were trying to play the game.
they also don't want me to go to army. These rabbis, they
don't care.
They don't care, and they don't think that girls need to go to army because army it's not good for religion, like for girls.
They're very
mixed, and like there are girls and boys in the army, and I need to wear shirt like pants, and
they're not big believers in the army or in any kind of like effort for it to be like an equalizer between classes or between genders, so they don't care about this. Like for them, you don't want to go to the army, okay, don't go to the army. Like we'll sign this. Just go through our process.
Yeah, so they scare the shit out of me. Because also how it looks like it's like a real court, and they're like, "Are you sure you're religious?" I was like, "Yes." "Are you sure?" 100%. I was like, "Yes." If we come to your house, we're allowed to come. We're going to see if you're not religious, you're going right to jail. Da, da, da. And it's me, little me, 17 years old. And I was like, yes. It's and I played on this 2 years that I was in this religious school.
Oh, you used the time when you were in middle school.
Yeah, I was in the religious school, but I had to leave because we moved, and I don't know. I told them a story. I can't remember what was the story, but
like you did have a little bit of a background, so you knew a few things to say from middle school.
7th, 8th grade that I was in this the religious school that was also only the Russian class, but they don't know this.
The Russian class. That's so screwed up. It's so screwed up to have classes according to your ethnicity and also have the subjects that you study according to your ethnicity.
Yeah.
Like all the car mechanic classes were all definitely not Russian. They were all like Mizrahim. This is what's called in sociology tracking. When you pave someone's road for them before they even grow up, just because they have this last name or that last name.
It's Beer Sheva 15 years ago. I think now it's a bit better, but
it still has it. There's still a lot of that.
It was a lot of immigrants, and it was a lot of things. Yeah. So after this, I right away got this paper that I'm religious and I don't have to go to army, and I was so happy. And I sent them in fax. I sent them because I faxed them because I didn't want it to go there personally. I had to go there actually personally, but I told them, "Listen, I'm so sick, I can't," and I faxed them this because I didn't want to see this terrible place again. But they really wanted to see me.
To make sure that you're not lying.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm sending this paper, and that's all. I'm gonna get it. That's all. But it didn't happen because I got another letter from the army, and they told me, no, now you have to come, and we want, because you've been in the first time, the Tzav Rishon, the first time that they call you, and all this that I said before. And we didn't mention that you were religious, so you have to come here and you need to do a religious test. And I was like, what the fuck? What am I
thought you were done?
do? I thought I'm done. I remember this day like it was yesterday. It was raining outside. I had a boyfriend back then, by the way, and he was like, don't worry, we're going to get married. If you're going to get married, you don't have to go to army. I don't care.
That was like the last resort. If you don't get this, we'll get married and then you don't have to go.
We're just getting married.
That's so sweet of him. That's how he proposed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll get married so that you don't have to go to the army. That's love.
Okay, so it was raining. I was going there in the middle of school. He met me. We went together. He was waiting for me outside. I was with jeans, like like pants,
Yeah.
and on the pants that were wet anyway, I put the skirt
Why?
that got also wet, and I had this pink hair, so I put all my hair in the hat, and I was like, okay, I'm looking religious. It's fine, yeah. So I have this jeans underneath, yeah. So what?
Oh my God, this
it's
is
too
so
cold.
ridiculous.
I don't care. Like, and I don't know anything because, as I told you, I'm from the Soviet background, and we don't like
You didn't have a religious upbringing.
anything. We're not even doing like Shabbat dinners, and I don't know anything about any holiday. It was completely outside of my life.
But you did have a lot of people at school that you knew that were more like it was around you, like the holidays. They taught us in school. They talked to us about.
I didn't really know.
You weren't listening.
I were not listening. I didn't really know. I didn't really understand it. I thought that like this years, I thought it's like bullshit. I don't know what is this. I don't want to know about this. And also, we were not practicing this at home at all. And most of my friends also were Russians, and same thing. So we didn't have it. So when I came there, I saw all the other girls, and they all look so religious. And when I ask them, they tell me that they're from Netivot, which Netivot is like
It's a small town outside of
and
Beer
very
Sheva.
Religious town.
Yeah. Like if you're from there, you're probably religious. Doesn't matter what school you're going to.
Yeah. Most of the people there are religious, and you really see them, how they dress up and how I dressed up. And I was like, oh shit.
You were like, they're not wearing costumes.
No, this is not a costume. They were like tight. They were so tight. And I came there and I was like, hey, listen, what is going on inside? Can you tell me what they ask you? What is it? And she was like, yeah, wow, it's really hard. Even I'm really religious, but they ask you like, what do you bless for a full cup of water? What do you bless on a half cup of water? and I was like, holy crap, I'm done.
You're busted.
I'm done. Okay. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And when we were talking, I was trying to get answers. Like, what are they asking? And then there were these soldiers that came and they were like,
walking by.
Silence! You don't talk. You stand there and you stand there. And I was like, fucking shit, what am I doing? And I called my boyfriend that is waiting for me outside, and I'm like, I think we need to get married. Like this. Yeah. And then, they call me inside, and this girl, she's asking me lots of questions that I really don't know how to answer. And most of my answer were, I don't know. I was like, I didn't know what to say. And even when I answer a little thing, I was like, yeah, I know this. And then like, okay, and what does this mean? And I was like, I don't know.
Wow.
So it was terrible. And then I said, okay, your last chance is to play on the feelings side. And I said, and then in the end, I told her, like, listen, I know that I didn't have the answers for all of the questions, but actually, like, it's my mother. She just got religious now, and it's so important for her, and it's gonna break her heart if I'm gonna go to the army, and I need to be with her. And I don't know what else I said, but it was this kind of things.
Like, basically, you're telling her, my mother rediscovered Judaism, and now she's become all observant, and we're going through a process as a family, and this is what's going on. That's why I don't know anything, but like I can't go to the army.
Something like this. Yeah, I was telling her something like, I can't even remember, but I was like trying to talk to her heart, and I remember I was really looking at her eyes, and I was like telling her, like inside of me, like I was screaming, please, I don't want to go to army, help me. But actually I was saying another things. And when I went out, I was like, okay, if I get this paper from army that I'm not going, like, everybody can do this.
You're saying if I got exempt, anyone can get exempt.
Anyone, like, really, like, it was so bad.
You're describing a really sloppy process of like trying to get out.
It was so hard. I thought it's gonna be more easy, but I tried to do my best, and that's what happened. And I already thought like, okay, I'm going to jail. probably, or I will actually do this marriage thing, but I would probably go to jail because my mother will not let me get married when I'm 17. Yeah, so I was ready.
You were ready for it to get worse.
I was ready for the jail. I was ready for like, yeah, you're lying to us. It's double jail, whatever. I don't know. It was really bad this years when you were trying to get out from army. And after like 2 weeks, I got this paper, and I was sitting, opening the envelope and looking at this, and I was in shock.
It's like getting the letter that you got into Harvard University. Were you like jumping up and down screaming or something?
I was crying.
You were crying.
Yeah, I was crying.
Wow.
I was shocked. I was shocked. I could not believe. I was so happy and crying from happiness, and
Wow.
also very, very afraid because I was very scared that they're gonna check me a lot, and I was actually sure that they're gonna catch me.
You thought that they could like withdraw this exemption at
Yeah.
any point.
Yeah, I felt like they're gonna use this power on me because I signed a few times that they can come, also for the army and also from the
Rabbinical Institute that
I,
signed.
I signed both of them that they can actually come and see my home and what I'm doing. And yeah, I'm very much not religious, so I was sure anytime. This is why I said that I was very careful. So maybe somebody called me on Shabbat, but I probably were like smart not
You wouldn't
to
answer,
yeah.
unrecognized numbers.
Unrecognized, and I was not answering.
So you were just like living in fear even after you got exempt.
Yeah, I was really afraid. A long time I was really afraid to, and also like many people, like if it's not my friends and I don't really know them, so I was not telling them.
Like you couldn't trust people that you don't know too well to tell them the real story.
I was afraid. I was a bit paranoid to do this. I was telling this to people when I get a bit more connected to them, but there were two reasons. Also because of this, and also because people were really judging me. Even if it's like I'm in a bar and somebody...
Like you're socializing and someone's
Yeah.
asking like, what did you do in the army? And you're like, I didn't do the army. And they're like, why not? And you're like, oh shit. Now I have to
Especially
go
when
through
you're
this.
18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. People are like, they're not asking you if you are in the army. They are asking you, where are you in the army?
Because they're assuming that you're in.
Yeah, because
The army.
everybody's in the army. Okay, you're 20, so where are you in the army? Where are you serving?
It's like
this is the question.
This is what everyone's doing.
Yeah, that's...
And it's true. And you judge people if they say that they didn't go, if they didn't have like a good enough reason. And especially if like they lied their way out or something, or they tricked their way out. And especially the people, even if you don't believe in it that bad. Like I remember when I was in the army, at that time, it's not like I believed that I was, saving the Jewish people from, everybody who wants to kill us. It was more about like, I'm wasting 2 years of my life and giving my freedom away and wearing this stupid uniform every day, and you're just free to do whatever you want. Like, that's not fair. It was a lot about like that kind of judgment.
Yeah, there is a word in Hebrew. It's called mishtamet.
Yeah.
And I hate this word, actually.
It's literally translated, I think, as dropout. Like someone who, or it means dodger, someone that dodged the service.
Yeah, but when you say it in Hebrew, so the connotation that you have it in your body, I think all the Israelis, when you say you are mishtamet or mishtametet, it's like, wow.
It's a bad word.
It's so bad. It's like so offensive.
Yeah.
You can offense someone to tell him this word.
Yeah,
even if he did the army. It's like it means a lot. It's really inside the society.
Yeah.
The language. So yeah, so all these years it was really hard for me to talk about it because still I didn't meet a lot of people. I already started to meet some people. I also moved to Tel Aviv when I was 19. And then I started to meet some people who understand me. And like, yeah, I didn't go to the army also because of this. And I was like, seriously?
You're like, there's other people that didn't.
Yeah. So it really helps me to know that I'm not an alien.
So now you're 19 years old and you're living in Tel Aviv. This is very young. Most of the people, when they're 19, they're in the army, and then, they don't move to Tel Aviv in such a young age. So you're meeting people who are kind of, more like-minded, and then what?
So it all happened because I decided to serve in the national service.
That's like an alternative to the army. You can serve volunteering somewhere.
Yeah. So I choose to do this.
Why? Because you were feeling guilt that you didn't serve your country, so you had to do something instead?
I think my first answer is because I was confused and I didn't know what to do now. All my friends are in army. What do I supposed to do? I don't really want to go to study now, or I didn't know what to do.
And it's like you need some kind of a frame, some program to be part of in that age.
And also, I still had this Zionism program. It still was inside of me very much. I was programmed still on this thing that we all need to serve the country.
So even if you don't have to serve the country with a gun and with the militaristic way, you still felt like you needed to serve the country in a different way.
I must say that these days, even if the army could tell me, you're not going to use a gun, I would probably go to the army, because I was I was confused. I was afraid. I didn't know. I just knew that I cannot do this. I cannot shot a gun. Like, don't make me do this. I can, let's talk about it. Let's find the middle. But they didn't want to find the middle with me. And I'm happy for this.
Because today you understand that it doesn't really matter if you're going to serve with a gun or without.
Today, before this, you told me that I was very brave with what I did. But I actually, for many years after, when I was already 25 or something like this, so I started to think, wow, I had to tell my truth. That I was thinking that I escaped. I didn't think that I was so brave.
Like, you actually saw yourself for years as a coward for dodging the service.
Yeah.
Because that's what people make you feel here. Like, you're selfish, you don't, you're lying your way out of, serving your country, and then you feel like you're a coward.
Especially with myself, I was like, I had to be more brave and to go and say, hey, I'm pacifist. I don't want to serve because of this.
And then sit in jail.
And then sit in jail, and then it's going to be fair because I'm doing it like in the right way.
That's what I used to think when I was in the army, and a few years after, I used to think, okay, I have respect for the people who come and they say, I'm willing to pay the price. I'm willing to tell the truth. I'm not going to serve in the army. Put me in jail, That I can respect, but I didn't have respect for people who used, lying and tricking and getting out in, those ways. Today, I think it's very brave, even if you need to lie to the system and you need to find your way out and not sit in jail. I think it's very brave, especially because of the period of few years where, you always have to prove yourself to anyone around you, anyone who's asking you about who are you and what you're doing. You feel like you have to justify yourself,
Today I can see it differently, but I had many years I was thinking, why I didn't do this like this way. And I remember I was checking about it, and what was written that I need for this, that I have to go to court, and I have to bring 3 people that gonna testify for me that they know that I'm pacifist, and to show why and how and when, and like teachers,
like to prove that you really are a pacifist in every way.
Yeah, and
there are very few people that actually get this, pull this off.
And when I saw it, when I saw the amount of people that are trying to get it and the amount of people who get it, I understood that it's better for me as a female to do what I did. It's gonna be much easier for me, and it's much like I'm probably gonna get it. So this is why I decided to do this. But after a few years, I was like ideologically, I was like more centered and more settled and more understanding. It was not only I don't want to shoot a gun, so I understood more about the Palestinians and about the society and about Zionism, and much more things got open to me.
When did this happen?
Slowly. I understood it that after the national service, I was traveling for 1 year, and I was traveling by myself, and I was meeting a lot of people. And I was 20 years old back then, and all the people that I was meeting, most of them were not Israelis. And then they were always asking me, oh, so you served the military army? And I was like, no. And then I was telling my story because for them, I didn't care to tell them.
Yeah, they're not Israeli. They're not going to judge you for it.
Yeah, and actually they were not judging me. They were like, wow, this is amazing. Wow, you're so brave. And they opened my eyes for this. And then they were talking to me about the Palestinians. And of course I knew about the Palestinians, but I didn't
You didn't really know.
I didn't really know like I know today, and I don't know. But it was a mystery for me because I didn't meet so many Palestinians, if at all, before that. Like when I was 20, even after I didn't go to army, but I didn't really know the Palestinian story. I just knew that I don't want to be part of it.
You knew that there was like a war going on and people were dying, and you don't want to be part of it, but you also don't want to know about it. You're just like, I'm not part of that. Like, I'm not taking sides.
I didn't know that I don't know about it, because this is how we grew up.
Yeah.
We don't know that we don't know about it. We know what we know. We know the Jewish story. We know the Israeli side story. And we learn very, very a bit about the Palestinian side from the Israeli perspective.
Yeah.
But nobody is teaching me about Palestinians. For me, Palestinian, it was like a bad word. It was like, what is
For me, it was a scary word.
Scary word.
Being Palestinian meant that you want to kill me. Just by saying the word Palestinian, it means a bad person that hates me and wants to kill me. This is what the meaning of that word was.
Yeah. For me, the meaning of this word was even, there is no such thing, Palestinian. It's like, who the fuck says he's Palestinian? There is no such thing. This person who says it, he doesn't understand history.
This is funny to us now because we understand that, obviously you don't think that now, but what's sad is that there's so many Israelis that think that.
Yeah, still.
For them, it's a fact. It's not even about an opinion. It's like, this is what they know.
Yeah, until now. They're like, they have to realize this is Israel. This is not Palestine, and that's all. This is how we grew up on this.
Yeah. So once you came back from traveling around the world, were you like into activism, or you would just like forget about everything? I was in India. I just want to meditate.
I was in Australia and New Zealand. I was in India.
No, but you traveled in India.
Yeah, but it was
afterwards.
After my and I started to study, and it was interesting in the college for me because I always wanted to do some things. I felt like, what about this? What about this? Studying social work and human rights, everything became more accessible. In college, it's a bit different. Like people,
you open your mind to more information. More ideas.
You talk about different kinds of things, In college, it was the first time that I heard about what happened with the people who came from Arab countries, the Jewish people who came from Arab countries, and what Israel did with them. For me, I didn't know about this.
Me neither. at all.
I had no idea. I didn't have this connection with Palestinians.
Yeah.
I didn't really meet Palestinians
Until your like late 20s.
until my early 20s.
And then what happened when you met Palestinians?
I think I was a bit like, wow, okay. Yeah, the stereotypes about Palestinians are being broken, basically, because first time that I saw Palestinians, that I heard their story, actually, I think it was in the organization that we were. We had one conference and they bring like 4 Palestinians and they are telling their story. And their story was so hard. Like today, I hear these stories all the time.
Yeah, now you realize that this is the story of almost all the Palestinians.
Yeah, but back then I was like, oh no. It was like you had to carry your friend, your dead body friend, through all the way to somewhere because there was no light and was not allowed to use the car. And I was like, oh my God. You know, I'm like, okay.
Shocked.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Is this when you started realizing what they mean when they say occupation?
Yeah. Yeah. But think about how long it took me to expose myself to these stories. Because they make everything for you to not know.
Yeah.
They make everything to talk about, so much to talk about the Holocaust and the Iranian story and I don't know, everything that's like we are the victim. And we're so much playing the victim, the Israelis, when actually we're occupying so many people and we're using so much violence and so much power on these people. And it's very kind of complicated, or they make it complicated in your head because all the trauma, we're just carrying this trauma with us, and we don't want to give it up. We don't want to give up on this trauma. We just want to carry it with us and just
because it's justifying what we're doing.
Yeah, it's like, no, everybody wants to kill us. You need to understand. Since you are like 4 years old, they are telling you, everybody wants to kill you because you are Jewish. Only because of that. And this is your life. And you have to protect yourself all the time because they're gonna try to kill you. They already tried. Look at the history. Go back and see. They tried to kill you. They're not talking about they tried to kill all the homosexuals, and they don't talk about
all the black people,
all the other Holocausts,
all the disabled people.
Yeah, and all the other Holocausts that are still happening.
All the genocide, all the
and you just grew up on this fear. And it's not that I'm denying the Holocaust. I'm not denying all what happened. I just don't believe this is the way. I don't believe this is the way to live your life or to make any kind of connection with other nations or other people that are not in your religious and don't believe in the same things maybe, but you can live next to them. You can live together. But it's not possible to live together with these people when you are so scared that everybody wants to kill you all the time. And, you know, while I'm talking and I'm speaking this, I can hear the voices of Israelis are shouting at me different kinds of things.
What do you hear?
I hear like, you're a traitor and like, what do you mean? What do you mean that we're the victim? Of course we're the victim. This is what happened. This is history. So many people killed. You know, like half of my family actually were killed in the Second World War. They were fighting, and many of them died in the war. And all what I said about my mother and what happened back there, and I know about this. I really know about this, and I'm not denying this, but I know the voices, and these voices are coming from being very scared about your life. And I really can understand this, and we really need to heal this trauma.
Definitely. So your family, how do they deal with your activism, with your opinions?
I was not telling them everything, and when I did so, they choose to deny. They didn't really, because they don't really fit in.
It sounds like they're very busy surviving for many years.
Yeah. They
So
didn't
this
really
is what they
care
cared
about.
about.
Yeah, they didn't really like. My mother was like, okay, so do this. So you want to do this? Okay, just do something.
As a woman who was, working day and night to like support her family as an immigrant, and all she cared about was basically for you to be safe and to fit in and to just be okay. This
and
is what.
and me not wanting to worry her,
Yeah.
me wanting to also like keep it quiet, and because it's too much. So they didn't really support me, I would say. I didn't got the support, like, I mean, support, not like, they didn't support the idea. They were like, okay, you do your thing, but they were still here, but they didn't really talk to me so much about this, or wanted to know more, or they just, yeah.
When were you able to say like I'm not a Zionist, like out loud to people?
I was not questioning this. I was not questioning it. I was like, okay, this is not fair. What's going with the Palestinians? This is weird. This is it. But I was not connected it directly to Zionism. And I think only the last years I understood it more. I was like, what the fuck is Zionism? Seriously. Who bring it up? Like, who?
You
Why?
started researching, you started reading about it?
No, I didn't read about it. I was just digging in my brain, and I saw the society, and I just very much started to understand that something is really stinky here. I was like, okay, Zionism actually, why did people are going to army because of Zionism. People are doing some stuff. Okay, it's all about this land. It's about the ground. It's earth.
It's not even about the land, that's the truth. It's literally about identity and about power and about,
Sure.
it could be any other land.
Yes.
It's true. Like I
Yes,
feel
yes,
like
yes.
this place is special, but it's basically been trashed with all of this ideology.
Yes, sure, it's much deeper than this. But when you speak about Zionism, it's a lot about the ground that we are. Why here?
Why here, not anywhere else?
What is about this ground? And then you start with everything. This in Jerusalem and this, and we've been here before. No, they've been here before. Who've been here before? But the Zionism started to sound to me. I could not, like, I got another perspective on it. I can't remember when, but I just remember that I had this realization. I had this, wow, okay, Zionism, it's just bullshit. It's just this thing that the Israeli state made to make this factory of little Israeli babies that they have to go through this way of Zionism. Because if they don't go through this way and they get another education, or they learned about the holidays, different things, they're not going to go to the army and be good Zionist, which means like a good Israeli that is serving the country and believing that they have to do everything for the country.
So we're talking about all of this, and obviously people are asking themselves, so why do you still live here? Why do you live in a place that used to be a Palestinian village and now it's a Jewish town? You're literally living on stolen land. It's interesting when people, like, I used to think, well, the West Bank, that's living on stolen land. But, here in the 48 territories, it's legit. And the truth is, you were showing me this app right before we started recording. It's called iNakba. You're showing me this map, and there's all these little pinpoints of like all of the Palestinian towns that were erased during the Nakba, and then you can press on a name of like a modern day Jewish town, and it'll tell you what was there before 48, and it'll give you all the information. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just an amazing app, and I'm so happy that somebody did it. And yeah, you cannot run away from it. It doesn't matter where you're going to live. You
It's
probably live on the place that somebody lived there. There was a Palestinian village, or there was anything. But I really must say that I would feel bad, and I will not live in a settlement that today is a settlement. But I can also see the place that I live today, and I can say, hey, this is also a settlement. So
yeah.
It's like a never-ending story until you end it, and and you start to think about, okay, this is what happened in the past, and I want to think about what are we going to do now, and just to understand that it doesn't matter where I'm going to be in this country. It's all polluted here with so much hatred.
It's also polluted,
blood.
like physically.
Yeah, it's also polluted.
Like physically, the water and the air and the earth are really polluted. Like,
yeah.
That's also part of this story.
And there is a lot of blood everywhere. And this country, this ground, this earth is full of like this heavy energy that you can feel when you go, especially in Jerusalem and in different kind of places that you go, Hebron, or it's just so heavy there. You can feel the ground that it's been so many things there.
So much pain.
Thousands of years that people are living here and doing things, and wars and blood and everything.
Yeah.
So I can talk to myself and say, hey, you're living in this ground and you're living in that ground. This is not okay. Maybe here is not okay, or where is it okay? So first of all, I'm telling myself that my existence is okay, and I have the right to live and to be wherever. I didn't choose many of things that is happening, but I can think about what is going to be now. How do I want to figure out, and not be only in being blame of being Israeli Jewish privileged and white, and think about like, yeah, I have all this and I enjoy it. I enjoy my privilege. But I also it's really important to me to know that something is happening. I want something to happen.
What would you like to happen for all of this pain to stop?
So many things. I would like, first of all, I would like that people will know each other. I think this is the first step that must happen. Israelis must meet Palestinians. People must look behind the wall to see the monster that is not a monster at all. All the people that are going through the wall and meeting the other people from the other side of this weird wall.
Or the transparent walls here within 48 territory between us and Palestinians who are citizens of this country. There's also a lot of different barriers between us and them that are not a physical wall.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even harder to break them because you can't see it. You can't blame a piece of concrete. It's much more challenging.
Yeah, and it's also, you speak now and I understand how complicated, like how many different layers there are in this story, because there are these Palestinians who live inside Israel, and most of them speak Hebrew, and a lot of them speak fluent Hebrew. Some of them don't even have an accent, and some of them they do, and you can say immediately, oh, he's an Arab. We don't even use the word Palestinian many times. I really try to use it all the time and say Palestinian and not Arab. And also I want to tell you that many people, they don't really understand
that they're Palestinians.
Yeah, they think, okay, maybe who are Palestinians? And I'm like trying to say, all the people who live here, they are Palestinians. They've been, maybe if they choose to call themselves something else, of course, it's their choice. But all these Arabs that you talk about them, maybe they're Christian, maybe they're Muslim, maybe they're Bedouin, maybe, I don't know, there are different kinds of people here. This mixture, they been living in Palestine, and most of them identified with the fact that they are Palestinians, or they were Palestinians, or they're confused who they are now. It's not right. And it's more than this. I want to say that it's also part of how to make people weak, how to take a nation and to make them so weak, how to take people and just to make their society fragmented, and to just, take some people are here, and then we put some people there, and then we break the families, and they cannot see each other, and you just push them down and down and down, and you make them so weak that what can they do? This is also the Zionism project. And it also brings me back to what you asked me to, what do I think we should do? And I said that we should look at each other's eyes and to meet the people from here, from there. But when I say meet, really sit and talk for a second and see how many things in common you have and what beautiful people there are around. Wow, it's so nice, and they have such a beautiful culture also, and they're so many kind people and welcoming, and really my experience from Palestinians, I'm just really, I can start to cry only to talk about this, because this is so hard. It's how can we do this to these beautiful people? Seriously, I met families and people all around that's been through such a hard time.
Yeah.
So, wow, I just really want people just to meet before we're talking about any agreement. What agreement can you talk about? Before you just know the people around. Forget about the paper. Forget about peace. Seriously, peace agreement, this word is what is it? What does it even mean these days? Seriously.
If we still see these people as not humans, how are we going to sign a paper that says that we're not going to kill each other?
What is this paper? What does it really mean? When you don't meet the people around you, and you have so much hate in your heart, and it's not even hate, you have so much fear, and you don't know. So the prime ministers, these people, they will go and sign this paper, and
it's all
it's ridiculous. Seriously, go make peace yourself.
So after saying all of that, do you feel like you're Israeli? No, I think it's an important question. Do you feel like that means anything to you?
I will share that you asked me this question, and I feel you catch me. It's a hard question for me, because in many ways, yes, I'm Israeli. It's very complicated to answer these questions, because I have so many things against the what Israel is doing, and if I could, I would boycott Israel. But from other side, no, I'm part of this, and there are different parts, and I believe there will be a change. I hope I will see it when I'm alive.
Do you have one last message to the human race that you would want the listeners to listen to?
For the human race, relax. Just relax. Take it easy, and don't forget to laugh about all this human thing and what we are and who we are. It's much more easier, and it's actually much more simple than we think it is. I would say, yeah.
Thank you, Ramdas. That's what he would say if he was here. So, thank you so much. Rita, my dear friend.
Thank you, yeah.
You're such a beautiful soul, and I'm so happy that you're in my life, and I'm happy that you're living here on this land with me, and we are spreading this word.
So much, really. Thank you.
And that's the end of this episode. Thanks, Rita, for sharing your story. Thank you, Ro'i Geva, for the beautiful soundtrack. And thank you for listening.